Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib are best known for their feuds with President Trump. But now they're in a fight with the nation of Israel as well. Yesterday, after some encouragement from President Trump, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu banned Omar and Tlaib from visiting the country due to their support of anti-Israel boycott efforts. Then Israel's Interior Minister said Tlaib could still visit for humanitarian reasons to see her grandmother in the West Bank. Tlaib's response? No thanks. Apparently, her dislike of Israel outweighs her love of her grandmother. Brooke Goldstein is an attorney and founder of the Lawfare Project. She joins us now. Brooke, welcome aboard. Thanks for coming on with me.
Thank you for having me.
You've got a fabulous piece that everyone also, I want to make sure, goes to take a look at foxnews.com about this issue. But what we see unfolding here seems to be pretty typical. You lay out in your article about why Israel did the right thing, why it was important. Americans have been listening to rhetoric, and of course they support policies and attitudes and efforts to injure the state of Israel, right? To effectively facilitate its wiping off of the map. Is this, of course, the thing any normal nation would do when dealing with individuals who advocate this kind of talk? Some are saying, of course, that they have a right to be there, or certainly as U.S. Congress members. What do you say about that?
Well, I think before the nation engages in these type of political hysterics, we should all sit back and look at the facts. Number one, these are congresswomen whose trip was paid for by a group that spreads so much anti-Semitic Jew hatred. They actually posted not only neo-Nazi articles, but they spread the blood libel that Jews kill Christian babies to bake their matzah. Number two, it was reported that the congresswomen were set to meet an organization with connections to PFLP, the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, which is a designated terrorist group. That in and of itself is enough to deny them entry on national security grounds. But what I think Americans should be especially concerned with is the fact that you have U.S. members of Congress who are cooperating with foreign entities, including the PLO and the Arab League, not only to boycott a U.S. ally, but to facilitate unlawful discrimination against Jewish persons. What Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar advocate is for a Jew ban, a ban on doing business with Jews who live in Judea and Samaria.
Yeah, now, they actually had an opportunity, didn't they, just a few weeks ago, to go with the Democratic caucus, actually, which was going to Israel. And they declined. It's interesting because they do seem to get a lot of individual attention when it comes to their attitudes. I think if they were with the caucus, it maybe would have been a little more difficult to engage in rhetoric or to meet people who are not certainly sympathetic to Israel and hostile to Israel if they were with the entire Democratic caucus at that point. So they declined that, isn't that right? And then decided that they were going to go on their own.
Right. Right. They wanted to go on a propaganda tour. This was not a fact-finding mission. There were no meetings set with Israeli officials or Palestinian officials. And what's incredible is the double standard that we're seeing. Every single country in the world agrees on one thing, whether it's a democracy or a dictatorship. They have the sovereign right to control their borders, to control who comes in and who comes out. In 2012, the U.S. government banned Palestinian official Hana Ashwari from entering into the United States for security reasons. Italy bans Leila Khaled for her connections also to PFLP, the same terrorist group at issue with Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. And by the way, every single Muslim majority country in the world, Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, Kuwait, Lebanon, ban Israelis. Where's the outrage?
Brooke, what I'd like people to do, I'd like people to go take a look at your article at foxnews.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. They did do the right thing, and I appreciate you explaining that for all of us here also tonight. Thank you very much.